husband and I are planning on putting our house in the market as soon as we can figure out how to do it and what we need to do.
You've come to the right place. All right. So, so we're going to start off. I'm just going to show you a graphic that will kind of like set the tone for each, like think of it as the first 30 days, the second 30 days, and the last 30 days. And then I'm going to back into that with each of our various experts here that are going to show us more in detail what that means. So give me 1 second just to grab this graphic that I created. Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay, so basically the first 30 days you're thinking about getting organized, decluttering, fixing things you've wanted to fix for a long time but haven't, doing the research around the market, and really understanding what the value of your home is relative to the other homes that you're seeing out there. You're studying it, you're studying the market, and there's so many tools right now that people didn't have even 7 years ago. So we're very lucky that you can look and see what your neighbor's house sold for, and you can research taxes, and you can really get demographics and so many other things that you couldn't get before. So the first 30 days is really about getting ready. The next 30 days, from 30 to 60 days, you're positioning yourself. You're getting your team together, which is who you're meeting today. And it doesn't have to be these people, but somebody in those categories. You are setting the price, you're strategizing and making a plan, and you're starting to promote once you get the listing up. And then it's really about attracting buyers. And not just any buyers. You want qualified buyers. You want people who are ready, willing, and able to purchase a home right now. Time is of the essence. And right now, homes are not sitting on the market for very long. And if they are, there's a reason. So you are, I've got a typo. That's the story of my life. I will have a typo on my tombstone. So you are showing and screening your home, for prospective buyers, you're negotiating, and then you're getting to the finish line with getting it sold. So let's get back to not sharing.
Stop sharing.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm not seeing. Oh, stop share. Okay, the red button that's right in front of me. Okay, got it. All right. Okay, so we're going to hop right in now with Linda Samuels, who can give a little wave there. And Linda, I've known for numerous years, and she has a company called Also Organized. She's a professional organizer and coach who facilitates change in her clients' lives and navigates life to make it less stressful for them. Since 1993, she's worked with clients of all stages of life, from 5 to 90, in a supportive and patient and non-judgmental way to help them move forward and past overwhelm stage. In addition to virtual organizing, she presents workshops, she writes articles, she has a blog, which I encourage you to sign up for. And I'll give you a link for that, and a newsletter. And she is a mentor to other professional organizers. So welcome, Linda. Thank you for being part of this. And we're going to get going with your points that you sent earlier, which each person has given me points that we're going to talk about. So embracing a positive perspective. How would you explain that?
Well, first of all, just thanks for putting this together. It's really nice to see everyone, and I'm excited to hear what everyone's got to say. And as far as embracing a positive perspective, I think some people think like, oh no, I have to declutter, I have to get rid of stuff, and it's a negative. But actually, when you're getting your house ready for sale, you can kind of reframe it and think of it as a positive, because it's really an opportunity to let go of all the stuff that you never have time to think about, and that's just weighting you down. Mm-hmm. So really, it's, whether you're whether you're upsizing, downsizing, right sizing, you probably have more stuff in your life than you really want. And so use that quick 30, 60, 90 days to let go of things. Mm-hmm. You can kind of think of the mantra, all I need is less, as your marching order, as you're going through things. And just realize that with less stuff, not only is it going to be easier to pack, to unpack, it's going to be less expensive to move. And your prospective buyers coming in, they're going to see your home as much more spacious. And without your clutter and your personal belongings, they are also going to be able to imagine them living in that space with their stuff and their belongings.
All right, that's so important for
Yeah.
them to be able to walk into that home and have sort of a clean slate and being able to see themselves there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What kind of resources would you say that people need to get their home properly organized?
So, when you think about preparing your house for sale and even moving, I see that as a project. So when you're doing a project, yes, you can do it by yourself, but if you've got a lot of resources in different areas, that project's going to go a lot more smoothly. So there are basically 4 areas that you want to gather your resources, and you can do this by making a list and putting, names and contact information, so you have everything in one place. And this can be a list that keeps growing as your project grows. The first area would be professionals, like many of the people you see here today, your organizers, stagers, contractors, realtors, house cleaners, window cleaners, carpet cleaners, people like that, that are going to help you with specific parts of this house prep and sale. Then there are going to be vendors, companies like places that handle things that you want to discard or donate. So the junk removers, junk luggers. There's a place in Westchester, it's a household material recovery facility in Valhalla, which takes the various kinds of recycling that's hard to get rid of, and they also do shredding. You can call in shredding companies. You've got your donation places like Goodwill or VVA that pick up. So again, you want to have a list of these, your personal resources, friends and family that can, help you with the editing and moving things around. And then your material resources, like the things like you're going to need boxes and markers and masking tape and bins and things like this. So just get a list together so that you feel prepared going forward.
Do you have a list or a punch list that we can send to people later on?
I can make one. I don't have one
Okay.
set up, but I'm more than happy to do that. Yeah.
All right. And then like, how do you start? Like when everyone is so overwhelmed, what would you say is your best advice to just like get going? It's so easy to, we gather, and having someone like yourself probably removes them a little bit from the personal side of having to go through things. That's really challenging.
Right. So, going through the decluttering process or getting your house ready for sale can be overwhelming. And when you have, a house full of stuff, a life full of stuff, the first thing I'd say is, as far as where to start, there's no right or wrong. You can start anywhere, but the key is really focus on editing the things that are easiest first. So one of my clients likes to call this the first pass. So get yourself set up with either bags or bins, and you can mark them with masking tape and markers, like for things to recycle, donate, and trash, and just go room by room and do quick layers, the stuff that can go that you don't have to think twice about.
Right.
The empty boxes, the clothes, things like this that you're never going to wear. Just be ruthless and do the speedy thing, and then get them out as quickly as possible. So,
and I know you started the pandemic working virtually, and you've kept doing that. Can you tell everybody a little bit about what your process is, how you work?
Sure. So I've been organizing for almost 30 years, and most of that time has been in person on site. But when the pandemic hit, I switched to working virtually. So that's the only way I'm working now. So for instance, in the scenario where I'm helping someone move, the ways that I can help is I can help by developing these master lists and doing that walkthrough with you so you've got your plan of what you're going to do. I can support people by providing accountability and even support while you're decluttering, because sometimes people get stuck on, oh no, what do I keep and not? So there are a lot of ways that I can help with that.
Okay. Wonderful. And I know.
Virtual.
All right. So thank you so much for that. We're going to try to keep everybody's section to about 5-6 minutes. So now we're going to move on to Mark, who has Mark's Inspections. He is a trusted name in the inspection world here, and I've been thrilled to be able to use him for pretty much all of my deals so far, and it's been short, but it's growing. Mark has a team of inspectors that help him, and so he's very available to be there when needed within a few days notice, because of course once you get that accepted offer, you want someone inspecting that house within 3 or 4 days. So I'll let Mark maybe say a little bit about his company and what his, and I know it's a little bit strange when you're selling a house, you don't think of an inspection, except, the homeowners will come and do an inspection. So Mark can really talk about what you might want to do for selling your home for a pre-inspection, so you're not surprised when you've been somewhere for 30 years and all of a sudden you realize you need something you didn't know you realized. So that's, you want to limit those surprises, which really helps facilitate the process of your sale, that you're not overwhelmed by like, oh my God, I need a new, what? I've got a buried oil tank, what? So take it away, Mark.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, we've been in business going on 14 years. We got a team of 8 inspectors. So definitely available for those last minute, next day inspections. Just a couple points to look into when you're selling your house. You just definitely want to make sure, all your light bulbs are replaced and functional. Sometimes when I'm going around with buyers, about half the buyers now are first-time home buyers. So when they see a couple light bulbs or outlets not working, they might think it's, a huge electrical problem when it's really just, a faulty outlet or a faulty light bulb. And if your mechanicals, like your boilers, furnaces, water heaters, things like that are older, I would definitely get those serviced and have some documentation for that, because sometimes these boilers, I've seen them from the 1920s and 30s still working. I mean, it's definitely old, but a lot of times they're like old diesel, motors. So if you have documentation saying that they've been properly serviced, it'll make the buyers be a little bit more comfortable kind of moving forward with some older boilers and AC units, things like that. Also, New York state law, when you sell a house, you have to have smoke detectors in each bedroom and carbon monoxide per level. So just having those in the house, shows that you're a good homeowner and, you pay attention and you're conscious of selling your house.
Right.
And then definitely keeping areas cleaned and free of clutter is huge. It makes the rooms, show their true size. And, just shows that you're kind of on top of it. Even, replacing some of that older carpet with some laminate flooring, or even replacing it with new carpet or getting that shampooed will go a long ways. Also the roofs too. Sometimes roofs around 8 to 12 years, sometimes they start to show a little bit of moss and lichen growth. And getting the roof shampooed off, even though the roof's going to last 30 years, sometimes, new buyers see that and think the roof's a lot older. So shampooing the roof for a couple $100 and getting the gutters clean helps a lot. Pre-inspections are awesome too. I'll give you a quick story. About a month ago, I did an inspection, and not many times people are, although they're living in the house for about 30 years, they don't crawl around in crawl spaces and attics like I do, and all the nooks and crannies. And I found a bunch of mold in a crawl space, and then which totally scared the buyers away, even though they can get it repaired and it'd be the cleanest crawl space ever.
Right.
But it scared them away. And then the sellers had to pull the house off the market. They had to shop around for a mold remediation company, which were all booked out for a couple weeks. So they ended up taking the house off the market for about 4 weeks, getting that taken care of. Then they were able to put the house back on the market. So pre-inspections are awesome for things like that. And if you guys want to send me over your emails, I can also send you sample reports to give you a good idea. When you guys move forward buying a house, you'll get a good idea of what you'll be getting. Our reports are emailed, within 24 hours of the inspection.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Yeah, I guess, it seems like so much of any kind of marketing is removing doubt. So,
Exactly.
you don't want to give anyone coming through your home any reason to question something and hit or trigger one of, the fears of, oh my God, what am I buying? And if you can get rid of some of these fears that are not really legitimate, you're really so much further ahead than some of the other people out there that have put their homes on the market that haven't thought about these things.
Right. Yeah. And a pre-inspection will do that. It's kind of like, having like a clean bill of health moving forward. And there's even times where other inspectors might try to pick out something that they're not too familiar with. And, if you have a pre-listing inspection, that can kind of, mitigate that before, it gets to that point.
And then if there's a big item, I guess that does come up, you can be ready to deal with it before you put it on the market.
Exactly.
Okay, wonderful. So
my internet cut out for a second, so I missed a little bit of that blurb. I don't know if you covered, if there's an underground tank, does that have to be removed?
It depends on the state. In Connecticut, it does have to be removed. That's a state law. In New York, it doesn't have to be. It has to be tested. And usually that's a couple $100 between $400 and $600. They can either do soil samples or they can do a pressure test. And the buyers usually do that. And if it's not leaking, you technically can sell the house with it. But most buyers these days aren't too comfortable buying a house with an oil tank. So I would definitely get it tested before listing the house. And if it's in the budget, I would have it removed too, just to attract more buyers.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, Thank you, Mark. That was awesome.
Yeah, okay.
And again, I'll have everybody's information emailed to whoever registered for this workshop. So not to worry. Everyone's starting to put it in the chat. You guys can grab it there and you can download the chat at the end of this as a file for yourselves, but I'll make sure everybody has it. All right, next up is Maria Lisa, who has a woman-owned contracting firm. I've known ML for golly, since I had my co-working space in Terrytown back in 2011, and she was my painter. So, and was on the softball team together. So Cyrus Contracting has been doing amazing work for the last, how long? I guess a decade now, is it that you've had it, ML?
It's over a decade. Hi, Jen. Hi, everyone. So yes, Cyrus has been around since 2009, actually. Thanks for having me. So I want to talk about how very simple fixes can improve the sale and jack up the sale price of your home. So first I want to talk about curb appeal. I feel like 90% of the sale is won before people even walk in the home. And that's all due to the curb appeal of your house. I feel like even though people shouldn't make emotional choices when they purchase homes, it is 1000% an emotional choice. So simple things like a new coat of paint on a front door and a couple of plants outside the front door. Very simple things can make a huge difference. Even something as simple as changing out the light fixture right next to the front door. I don't advocate for people to do their own electrical work, but actually changing a light fixture isn't that difficult. If you read the instructions, it's not that bad. So you could DIY that. So curb appeal, I feel like, is #1 thing you can do to impact the buyer's decision for your home. Second is kitchens and baths. Kitchens and baths are the, I'd say the second way to increase I guess the value of your home. And that kind of piggybacks on my third bullet point, which is lipstick, what I call lipstick on a pig. I feel like a lot of people try to DIY too much and maybe toss a coat of paint on kitchen cabinets or bathroom cabinets, and it just doesn't work. So I feel like buyers can see through things like that. I've seen homes with even a coat of paint on tile, and backsplash tile, and that just doesn't work. So there are things you can do. You don't have to spend a fortune on cabinets. You don't have to spend a fortune on your kitchen or your bathroom, but just upgrading cabinets, backsplash, countertop, it will make all the difference in the sale of your home. I actually had sent Jen a cost versus value spreadsheet.
Do you want me to pull it up?
Yeah, if you could throw that up, that'd be great.
Yep.
It actually shows how, if you put money into your home, what you get back in the sale. I believe it's the last page of that, Jen.
And I can send this to everybody.
That's a great article. And actually the two highest percentages that you'll see there, I believe, are garage doors.
Can everybody see that? I know it might be small on someone's.
Garage doors and stone veneer. So in other words, if you put money into stone veneer and replacing your garage door, you'll get back 90% of that cost in the sale of your home.
Mhm.
So that just kind of goes along with what I was saying as far as curb appeal. People want to make that emotional purchase.
Mhm.
So,
And sometimes it can be as simple as just changing poles, on
right.
Something as small and inexpensive.
Or a coat of paint.
Yeah. Yeah. So true. So I will send this to everybody so that you have a copy of it, but very important to know how, if what you're putting in is really going to give you back a return on your investment, because it's still a financial, even with all the emotion, this is a financial decision. You can't put that much in that you're not going to get back out. And to know what's going to give you the biggest bang for your buck is really essential.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah,
and
I mean, the key is to have a good contractor partner, someone that you trust, and to sit down, lay out the budget that you have and figure out where your money is best spent.
mhm, right. And how do you typically work, ML? Like what, are you available right now, or are you super busy at this time, or do you feel like there's bandwidth for you?
I'm always available for appointments. I'm always available to meet with clients and game plan how how their budget is best used. As far as my crew is concerned, we are probably about 4 to 6 weeks out.
Okay. All right, great.
The problem right now, I'm sure as everybody is aware, is that the availability of material is a little scarce.
Right.
So that's the main issue that we run into.
And more expensive.
Yes. Well, yes and no. I find that because, the market was so flooded even before the pandemic, so many people were producing kitchen cabinets, it actually drove the cost down. So I'm able to get kitchen cabinets and bathroom cabinets at a reasonable price. So that's not really the issue that I'm running into. The issue that I run into is plumbing fixtures, lumber, still, things like that, windows and doors. That's kind of an issue.
Okay. Well, that's good to know that it's not as bad as, it seems like it might be out there. So.
Right.
All right. And thank you everyone for holding your questions until the end. We will have lots of time to ask some questions. So thank you, ML. And we're going to move on to, now that we've done sort of like the getting your house ready from a physical and emotional and organizational standpoint, we're going to move on to, how do you now make it look fabulous? So as part of our fabulous crew, we start with Maggie Page, who is a professional organizer and stager, I guess stager for, for where we are right now. And I'll let Maggie say a little bit about herself, her business, and her points about how you can really make your home into a place that people want to buy.
Thank you, Jenifer. My name is Maggie Page. I'm professional, organizer, but stager, but also I'm interior decorator. So started years ago with paper management, believe me or not, just because I used to be CPA. So from CPA into business organizing, because so many of my clients, I couldn't finish their books because their paperwork was everywhere. So that was kind of how I started with that aspect of, business. And then I just fell in love, the next thing is I just start to do design closets and doing lots of other things. But for the purpose of here, I'm a stager. So I do staging. So there's two types of staging. There's occupy home staging, which, most of the times that's where we get involved here. And there's also empty homes. And I do both. I provide service for empty homes staging. And when I bring my own furniture, and then also there's occupy homes. So with the empty homes, it's kind of simple. It's a very simple process. I talk to clients. Sometimes I ask them, they ask me for opinion about, okay, painting walls and things like that. Sometimes they need to do certain things before I even come in. And then it's a very simple process when I establish, what furniture are going to fit best. I have a ton of pillows. I have different things and, cartons that I don't have to, I use the sticky, I use the, for instance, just like a kind of like something that you can put on the window cells, but you don't, you don't put any, you don't create any holes. So I try to stay away from anything, no nails in the wall. I try to do everything that it's, when I'm done, the process is done and they don't have to worry about this. See, depending on situation, if there's always rule with staging, with the empty home staging. When you have a beautiful kitchen, bathrooms, and you feel that this home is empty, and virtual staging, trust me, it doesn't really work. I mean, you can show the house virtually, but when people go to this home, so often they just don't know. They feel like, oh my gosh, okay, this virtual was beautiful. Now I'm coming to this empty home and it doesn't look anything like it. And most people, unfortunately, cannot visualize themselves in this empty home. And sometimes, for instance, bedrooms look smaller and people have no clue how they're going to furnish this bedroom. There's a ton of windows, there's kind of like crow space. And what I do is I recreate the space and I make it work. So I just had a house now, there were a ton of windows, there was lots of different things. So I brought a smaller full size bed, then I brought a smaller nightstands, beautiful lamps, and I recreated that space and I was able to do it. And then placing like beautiful chairs, some on the corner between windows, so I didn't feel like this space was empty. So, and typically there's 5 spaces that I stage when it's empty. Now, of course, for our purpose here, most of the times they're occupied homes. And Maria Elisa mentioned a few things. Linda, of course, mentioned a lot of things. So I'm not going to repeat myself. How curb appeal, it's important. The purpose of stages is, obviously, since we know the real estate market very well, and then my job is to sell my clients home as soon as possible. And then sometimes, it's not like I try to get to take the offense, about making huge changes. It's about, my job is, of course, to help them to create this beautiful space so they can sell it fast and a higher profit. And then you want, of course, all the potential clients visualize themselves in this home. So we already, as mentioned, Maria Elisa mentioned about the obviously curb appeal, which is super important. And then Linda already, of course, mentioned about decluttering all the living spaces. I would add to this that, of course, we have to take anything that is personal. People was like, wow, why? Yeah, everything has to be gone in terms of, pictures of your family, like a dark towels, and kind of bring lots of neutral, beautiful things. So there was a staging part, of course, as I mentioned, decluttering, removing all those things. That's number one thing. What I do with my clients, I always look for option of keeping as much as furniture that I feel it's nice. Decluttering, as a matter of fact, removing some of the furniture from the home, dumpster, donations, all those things, of course, play a huge role. And sometimes we have to rent a storage unit and remove sometimes half of the things that own because there's so many furniture. We want to make spacious. We want to feel that, rooms, they airy, they beautiful, they appear bigger because, that's the key. People come into your home, they feel like, oh my gosh, I fell in love with this home. So that's what we do. And that's what I do. And then, of course, once, this decluttering, all those things are done, then I bring pillows, I bring curtains. And then again, sometimes when I see, okay, my clients have beautiful curtains, I'm not going to touch them. But then when I see, the dark curtains, and we want to bring this amazing light. So I sometimes add extra lighting. Lighting, it's the most important thing in your home when you sell it. And of course, space in terms of decluttering and a huge amount of things. So those things that play a role. You want to feel like you're walking into this beautiful home, and then there's air, there's vision. So that's basically what I do, adding lots of pillows and things like that. Now, another point is, when I have a home, when I stage home that is occupied, what I do is I cover imperfections. So for instance, when there's a wood floor that it's not as pretty, what I do is I bring oversized rug. Okay, so this way rug covers some of it because there's stain sometimes and it doesn't look good. I will bring something like that.
Right.
When older kitchen and people don't want it to do crazy stuff, I changed the like knobs and you know, I bring
Right.
beautiful vases. I bring something beautiful that distracts clients, potential clients that feel like, oh my gosh, this kitchen actually looks nice. I bring something that it just beautifies. The same thing with the older bathrooms. And sometimes people don't want to do crazy stuff. So sometimes just adding simple, beautiful, like beautiful towels, baskets, and all those things. Sometimes they just add the beauty and we're covering imperfections. Now, I just had a client, you know, kind of older home, but you know, I of course visualize and I see potential. So what I do is I saw this beautiful built-in shelving, huge, beautiful, just absolutely amazing, but it was covered with a ton of books and all kinds of crazy stuff. So I literally removed most of the books. I packed all those books. Then I, of course, staged those spaces because that was the selling point for this client. You know, he had a kitchen, but that space between living room and dining room, it was fantastic. So I paid much more attention to this. And again, this client had that little stains from the dog. So I put a nice rug, no one noticed. And I was able to help to sell this home within one day. And people did not pay so much attention to the kitchen and bathrooms. They just felt like,
Right.
wow,
Highlight, yeah.
for 7 seconds when they moved to this house,
Yep.
there's this amazing living space and beautiful lighting, all that. They just forget about, you know, not that they forget, but they just felt that, okay, I can fix the kitchen, I can fix the bathroom, but this space is so amazing. So that's pretty much what I can do. You know, there's obviously magical things that I can do, but I place my, I put my information in the chat.
Yep.
I'm going to save everyone. So if you guys want to just also add your information, I'm going to save it and I'm going to contact. I definitely want to connect with Linda, Maria Lisa, and many other guys with you. And then we can maybe meet for coffee and then talk about how can we help each other. Thank you so much for having me today. And don't hesitate. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks so much, guys.
All right, we're gonna have questions at the end. Thank you for all of that information. We're gonna move right on to Connor, because now that we've got the home staged, we wanna take the most beautiful, stunning, sexy pictures and videos that we can possibly have so that out in the digital world, you're represented to the best of our ability. So.
Hi, Jan. Connor here. I own One Click Media. I'm also an agent. I've been an agent for a long time, but I like taking photos more. It's a little more fun. And I make your shack or your match and shine from the sky to the ground. So I've been taking photos for a long time, not necessarily real estate, but different things. I got very busy when the COVID hit, and I started out doing 360 virtual tours. I sent you a link in the chat if anyone wants to take a look. And I just got crazy busy. And working with word of mouth, take pictures, make your home look spectacular. From the sky to the ground, as I said. So
Also do the video
drone.
tours, the drone from above.
Tours, 360 virtual tours.
Yeah, walk
floor
through the
plans,
house.
3D and 2D floor plans. One-stop shop, that's me.
And all those things are really important to have right now. You want to stand out. You want to have all the questions answered before they can even open their mouths. You know,
Yeah,
what's the floor plan? There it is.
You know, if you've got your home ready to market to the public, and the conduit is pictures. For the first view is the pictures of the home. You want to look, as best as possible. And when I arrive at a listing, work closely with the agents, go over the property, And I take a quick tour around, just to get a feel for the property. And I see it as telling a story. Every house has a story to tell, whether there's a small shack or a multi-million-dollar mansion. So I feel that's important also to get the essence of the home on camera, whether it's stills or video or drone shots.
Right. All right. What else did we have on here? Let's see. And you say on here, it's typically a 24-hour turnaround time?
Yeah, photos are typically 24-hour turnaround, unless there's anything extra. Videos are usually 2 days.
Mhm.
Floor plans, virtual tours are next day also.
Mhm.
Pretty quick turnaround.
Wonderful.
Don't have to wait days and weeks for my stuff.
All right.
I mean, you get it, you're like, oh, brilliant stuff, Connor.
But you know, if you've gone through the motions of the organizing, the decluttering, the staging, you know, Connor's job is made so much easier. And again, you're quickening the time frame. You know, you're not like, oh my God, I need to get rid of all these things. It's already done. And I think that's what's so important about having your team assembled, that you have a marching plan. You know, it's not like you're just kind of like setting sail and not knowing where you're going. You know, my boat's got to hit this port, this port, this port, this port, and then I'm going to hit the finish line. And you know where you're going, it's mapped out. So I think that's really the big takeaway from having something like this is knowing what to expect and knowing how you're going to get there. So Connor is a big part of this, because you can have it all done and you can put it on to MLS, but if you're taking pictures with your iPhone, you're at a huge disadvantage. Oftentimes the good news is a lot of realtors will foot the bill for this. So it's not even like you have to worry about it. I think that's become a little bit more standard, is the realtors really want to make sure that their clients' homes are represented to the best of their ability. And if it's not something that the client feels like they want to invest in, the realtor often does, and they're going to take care of that fee. So not even something you have to worry about, but something that's super duper important, because those pictures are going to be on every single platform out there, and you want them to shine. I mean, I almost feel like when you're looking at listings on yourself and you're like clicking through, and then you're doing that small picture, all of a sudden you'll hit like a fabulous kitchen, and you'll like that game show where they're like, they turn their chair around and they hit the button, and like that's the kid they're going to choose to represent. Like when you hit that button and you see that fabulous kitchen, and all of a sudden it's the big picture of it, and you're like, wow, that really, that moves you, and you're all of a sudden you're invested. So getting good pictures by the right person is a huge part of this puzzle. And Connor does a ton of work for our company, well respected, responsible, reliable, and please go see his work. Again, everybody's contact information will be sent to you, but big piece of the puzzle. So we go from Connor now on to Carl. And Carl is our attorney today, and is going to talk about how important it is to have your house in order. So to speak.
Yes. So hi everyone, good morning. And basically, like a lot of what I'll be talking about is a very brief overview of what you could expect once I get involved. And then I'll start off with the top line items, so that if nothing else, you could take away the idea of trying to have all of the documents that you either will need, or documents that will help streamline the process, so that once you're ready to sell, it'll help facilitate the deal. So documents I typically ask for once I get involved include like the certificate of occupancy, any prior survey that you might have, the deed for the property from when you bought the place. If you have your owner's title insurance policy, that's helpful as well. All of these things can help expedite the buyer's due diligence or their investigation of the property once their attorney gets involved. So, if you have those documents, there wouldn't be any risk of the deal stalling for a bit while the buyer gets documents from either the building department, or maybe they have to order a survey after the contract is signed, and there might be a long turnaround time for a new survey and things like that. Documents that you will need for the closing will be any payoff letters. If you have a mortgage, if you have a line of credit, you'll also have to have what's known as a freeze letter. Like you have to have something from the bank confirming that the line of credit has been frozen in addition to the payoff letter for the line of credit. And then utility bills. So if you do not have a septic system, then you should probably be getting a water bill. Or I'm sorry, if you don't have a well system and or a septic system, then you should be getting a water bill. And that is something that you'd have to ask the town for an updated or final water bill leading up to the closing. And in addition to that, you might also need to, if you use oil for heating, like if you have an oil tank, you'll have to get a final reading for that as well if you want to get reimbursed for any oil left over on the day of the closing. So with all of that information up front, to back up a little bit, I'll talk about when I get involved. So I usually get involved once you accept an offer. So if you get an offer from a buyer and you accept it, the agents will generate what's known as a memorandum. The attorneys get the memorandum and I draft a contract based off of that. And then that's when all of the details get hammered out. You know, the top line item, the most important one for the clients are like, what are the purchase price? What's the down payment amount? And terms like that. Some other terms that'll get hammered out are when exactly are we expecting to close? What condition will the property be in at the closing? Typically, the buyers will expect that the property be delivered vacant for one. Broom clean is another thing. And with the appliances and utilities in working order. So if things break down leading up to the closing, there might have to be a conversation about how is that going to get resolved to everyone's satisfaction. Another thing to consider would be things like fixtures. So anything that's installed on the property, if you want it, like if you have a chandelier that you want to take with you, make sure you let the agent know and the attorney know, because it should be reflected in the contract. Another fixture that tends to be more common nowadays are solar panels. And solar panels are attached to the property, so buyers will expect it to be sold with the property. That's not necessarily a problem, but as a seller, did you buy that solar panel system? Is it completely owned outright, or is there some sort of financing involved with it? And if there's financing involved with it, do you expect the buyer to take that over? So if you expect the buyer to take over any financing, whether it's the loan to buy it, or whether it's because you leased the solar panels and the lease has to be transferred to the buyer, all of that has to be included in the contract. Otherwise, the buyer is just going to assume that you wholly own the solar panels and that they do not have any additional financial obligation as a result of it. So you definitely don't want them to be surprised about that fact. And another general comment is that you do not want to wait until the last minute to transfer that account over, because it takes time for the solar company or the lender or both of them to transfer the information. And you don't want to be ready to close like a week away from closing, only to find out that's going to take 2 or 3 weeks for the solar panels to be assigned, and no one ever did it.
Right.
So
again, having things really together and buttoned up and knowing what you might have to do.
Yes, exactly. So, I mean, the name of the game is just letting the attorney know what the situation is, particularly if you have any documents they could provide to streamline the process, or if there is anything that you want to take away from the property that is installed to the property, so anything that's drilled in, hammered in, things like that. And if there are solar panels, it's always a good thing to let us know about.
Okay. All right, we're getting a little bit close to our top of the hour. So can everybody stay a little bit after, because we've got still stall. Okay, so thank you, Carl, for all of that. And we're going to turn the Zoom over to Saul Skolnick, who works with Wells Fargo. And he'll tell us a little bit about what he does and offer some strategies and tips again about home selling.
Hi, good morning. Thank you very much, Jen. Good morning to everybody. My name is Saul Skolnick. I'm a private mortgage banker at Wells Fargo. The two most important things as a seller that you need to know about, first of all, is something called a CMA. It's a Consolidated Extension Modification Agreement. Don't worry about what it's called. Just remember it's an assignment. Why is this important? If somebody is getting financing when they're buying your home, if your bank will assign the note to the existing bank, you will save money on the transfer tax and the buyer will save money on the mortgage tax. Those are two different things. Transfer tax is what a seller typically pays. Mortgage tax is what a buyer pays when they're getting financing. That can be a lot of money. In Westchester, you pay 1.05% of anything that you borrow as a mortgage tax or transfer tax on what you sell. So being able to reduce that based on what you currently owe to a bank or what the person currently owes as they buy it can be very helpful. So you want to find out if the lender that you have now will give a SEMA, the assignment, and then as different buyers come in, they're going to have banks that will also accept the SEMA. Very, very typical. Most banks will do that in New York State, but you do want to find out even before you put it on sale whether your bank will when somebody comes in. The other important thing is pre-qualification, pre-approval. There is no routine to what that language means. The language is different for every bank. The important thing is when you're working with your realtor, find out the elements that went into the document that says the person coming to purchase your house is qualified to do so. So when you get a pre-approval or pre-qualification letter, it should include the information your realtor can find out from the loan officer. Was it done with what's called desktop underwriting? That means all of the information that was given by the potential buyer goes through a system that matches it to a particular loan program, whether it's a 30-year fixed from Fannie Mae or a 15-year fixed or a $2 million loan, but it matches those to say that this person, at least in the initial stage, has the ability to get that loan. You also want to make sure that the credit has been run by the person doing the pre-qualification and the pre-approval. Two things there. You want to make sure that the liabilities are known so that they understand what the debt to income ratio is and that it's appropriate for the program. You also want to know the credit score because you're not going to be able to know the credit score, but you want to know that that's part of the element because all of those pieces go in to being able to know whether or not the loan is going to fly. Those are the two most important things. And as a seller, you're probably getting ready to buy. You want to know about your qualifications to buy. And the earlier you put your financial house in order when you go for your pre-approval, the easier it will be through the process. It's that simple. Other than that, we're just printing money and ready to bring it over.
All right. Well, that was awesome. Thank you, Saul.
My pleasure.
Really good advice. So from my side, as the realtor, my job is to really make sure that this strong team is assembled so that you're ready to go with a plan from start to finish. And that includes all of these things that we've gone over so far. And then when I come into the picture, I'm going to sort of play orchestrator for all of this, making sure that your home is being marketed and promoted to the best of my ability. That means leveraging all of the resources that I have. It means making a landing page for your home, making a Facebook page, doing open houses, promoting it to the best of my ability with all of my resources on social media. And if any of you know me, I'm out there a lot doing these kinds of things. And I've been running my own businesses for a long time. So it's all about being shameless and making sure that you are top of mind for everybody. And that's not everybody's comfort place, and it's not mine, but it's essential because our goal and our job is to make sure that you have qualified buyers that have been screened coming to see your home. That not everybody gets to see your home. You've probably seen lately that it's pretty typical that they want to have proof of funds or a letter saying that you have a commitment from a lender in place already. And that's who we want to bring to see your home. Not everybody gets to see your home if they are not qualified and they haven't shown that to us, because otherwise it's a waste of time. You want to make sure that your home is ready to be seen at any given time. You want to make it super easy for any prospective buyer to come and take a look, and it should look fabulous every time they walk in that door. There should not be, laundry in the corner, lights should be on, things shouldn't be on the stove having cooked breakfast that morning. You have to walk in there and it has to look like an Airbnb you've arrived at. And that's part of my job. And being able to guarantee that you're going to get much better show and much better offers in the long run. And then it's our job at the end to make sure that each offer is considered, valued, the terms are not just the money, but it could be, you know, their ability to move more quickly. It could be a cash offer. So there's a lot of variables that are going to go into receiving these offers and making a decision of the best one that makes sense for you. So not all offers are equal. And then once you get to that sold finish line, of course, you're going to have your, you know, 6 weeks to 8 weeks if your buyers has to obtain the mortgage. But then you're another, you know, 2 months away from your closing. And, you know, this workshop is really just about getting your home ready for the market and getting to sold. And I might do another workshop on sold to closed, because it's a whole other set of things you have to think about and move through. It's amazing that any house gets sold, honestly, and that people switch homes all the time. But thankfully, with all these knowledgeable parties, you are 90% there. So we're going to open it up right now to Q&A, and please feel free to unmic yourself. I don't think I've seen any questions in the chat, but if somebody has a question, just hop in and direct it to whomever you'd like to hear from.
I have a question. First, it was really fascinating to hear all the different perspectives, so I appreciated that. But the one question I have is for those that are actually like selling the houses and in that part of it, you know, pre-pandemic, a lot of what we've said probably applies. And I'm just wondering, has the pandemic influenced what a homeowner needs to do to be house ready? So I just throw that out to whoever might want to answer that one. I'm just curious.
May I just say something? Because I dealt with a lot of 2020 brought us into a totally different perspectives. Like you, Linda, you mentioned that you're doing virtual now. 2020 brought me into like totally different aspect of business, because what happened was, first, you know, like I was scared. I was like, oh my gosh, like what I'm gonna do, I'm not gonna survive. And then I had so many clients that I didn't even meet. Literally it was all about Zoom. And Jenifer said, we all got used to Zoom. I met so many clients that were stuck in Canada. You know, they were too afraid to come to, let's say, New York, or they were trying to like sell the home. They did not want to meet someone. So what I did a ton of staging. I did a lot of things without even meeting that person, that client in person. That was like a total new opening for me. And so that's the reality. And then it actually continues right now. I still have I had a few clients, the huge job that I had, the guy still lives in Canada. So I literally did everything in his house. I staged, I organized all the people like movers and like everything. Literally the guy was here. And then I also rented you know, the facility for him. So, you know, anything that he needed, you know, I would have to be able to bring that. I brought my own furniture, so I staged it. So that's kind of like a new reality now. I don't know how.
My question really had more to do with, are some of the things like the renovation things, are they as key now that the market is extremely competitive for the seller? Like there's not a lot of stock and houses are going quickly. So that's more what I meant is, has anyone noticed? Yeah,
I can answer that. So I think that last year was a little bit of an anomaly. I think it's tapering off a little bit. I met with so many people last year that purchased homes. I actually met with a couple who had purchased, I met with them the day that they purchased a $1.3 million house. And it was the first time they were setting eyes on the property. So they purchased it sight unseen. Wow. For $1.3 million. And they knew that they wanted so many renovations that I was meeting them the day that they were first setting eyes on it. And they were closing the day after with cash, which, you know, that's how competitive the market was. Right. And it was over asking. Yeah. And the house was nowhere near, you know, ready the way that we were talking about. It was right. Nowhere near, it wasn't painted, it wasn't renovated, it was kind of a mess. But it had the most gorgeous view you could possibly imagine. So, but I do think that's tapering off. I think that the majority of people that have moved from Manhattan have done that. I think that now this is just my opinion, what I'm seeing now. I think that the people who had planned to upgrade their homes within Westchester, say families who have outgrown their homes, who had planned to upgrade in 2020 and 2021, that were priced out by the market, we're going to see that movement. So they're going to be looking for homes that are market ready, not like we saw in 2020 it was just so much competition that it was insane.
Yeah, people were buying.
I think they would buy anything they could get their hands on, and there was a bidding war. I think that's tapered off. I think now we're going to kind of not normalize, but I think prices are still going to be extremely high. It's definitely still a seller's market, but I think it's going to normalize a bit.
Mhm. Yeah.
I totally agree with you, but also if I want to mention something to you guys, my husband is architect. And then right now, a lot of people, what they do is they turn into 2-family homes. They bring in parents living with them after when they sell the house, they buy the house, and that's what they're doing. A lot of homes like that, you know, and then, yeah, so that's what's happening.
Do any of our attendees have any questions for our panel? Yep, go ahead, Jill.
I'm just curious if there'd be any different advice. I own a condo with not a lot of amenities. So just curious if anybody has any advice about that. Or would you say something different? Or people who
Is there any different approach to a condo or a co-op?
Yeah, like I won't have curb appeal.
Right, right.
I don't have that to go on, so.
You do have curb appeal. It's just the condominium's curb appeal. It's the group's curb appeal. So you're kind of dependent on what that is as a group. I'm assuming there's rules as far as how your door is painted and what the outside. I would still do something small, like, you know, put a plant, even if it's a fake plant, put something outside your door that makes it attractive. Just to give it a little pop.
Yeah. And Jill is starting to do an interior renovation. She's starting to paint. She's, you know, doing some kitchen upgrades. So she's putting a good investment in right now. And she will absolutely be ready for the spring market. It's just, you know, she's got a lovely space. It's Tarrytown, you know, it's got appeal already just because of location and timing.
Right.
So I think, you know, you're going to have people lined up for your home once, you know, you get it to that place where things are removed and, you know, it's looking clean and fresh. And again, like people can see themselves there. So, but
Condominium docs would also be good. The condominiums offering plan, which is something like a big stack of documents that you should have gotten when you bought. That's always something that's good to have handy because the buyer's attorneys will almost certainly ask for it.
Mhm.
And if you have to go to the management company to get a new one, it costs money and it takes time to get.
Mhm.
And then if you have any like house rules or financials that you get from the condominium, those are also handy to have available. And electronic versions specifically for those documents. Because if you could email it to Jen, then she can email it to the agent, to your future buyer's agent, and that'll streamline the process.
And
You know,
Jill,
you could
I'm sorry.
also speak to the perks of Tarrytown, right? So Tarrytown's a commuter town, so keep an MTA schedule. As soon as they walk in, have an MTA schedule on the counter, have a brochure to like all of the wonderful things that Tarrytown offers. You know, like the church with the windows that's amazing. And
Mechanical Hills, yeah, the Chagall.
right. You know, put those brochures
Yeah.
right in front of them so they can that's your curb appeal, is the town and the walking, you know, how everything's walking distance.
Yeah,
So
especially
just
where you are. Yeah, that's
put
it's a
that,
great
put
location.
that right,
Yeah.
right in front and center.
Bagel
So they see that.
Emporium is a stone's throw away.
Right.
Yeah.
Watch the sunset at Sunset Cove.
Tarrytown is my favorite town out of all of them. You know, just like I think it's so beautiful. You have so many older buildings there, and there's so much attraction there. But Jill, you have to. When I stage, you know, prepare the condos. You have to treat the same thing as the homes. Don't forget, there are lots of young people or people that cannot afford homes because the prices of homes are very expensive. So you know, condo is very attractive, and plus it's Tarrytown. So treat your place as, oh my gosh, I'm going to sell it with no problems. And again, as we mentioned to you about, you know, kitchen and bathroom, do something that, you know, as Maria Alice, I agree totally that people like to come over kind of ready. So if you feel the kitchen is maybe a little updated, and depending on your budget, if you can afford to do some upgrades, if not, just change the splash, do something, a knob, something that would make that kitchen a little more attractive, you know. And then if you have older wood floors or whatever you happen is, maybe it's not a bad idea to just put a fresh coat, you know, just sand it. It's not that expensive. People, because that's like major, but it's major also selling point for people. People love wood floors. I'm not sure if you have it. If you have a carpeting, maybe refresh it, or, you know, just like I said, if you want, I can stop by and give you some ideas, or send me pictures. So I can give you some ideas of what to do. But yeah, thank you.
Great. Thank you very much.
All right. Any other? Tara, welcome. I know you're a little late to the game. Tara's an old friend of mine. Welcome. Any other questions for our panelists before we wrap this up?
Yeah, this is Gary Bach.
Hey, Gary.
Hi. I was wondering, this is for Maggie probably. Like when you're staging a room or that, what do you have any kind of number like on what percentage of the room should have furniture? You know, should 75% full, 25% full?
Well, so I'll give you an example of furniture, what I like in the you mentioned, like, let's say living room, right? Very important is the flow. So we don't want to block anything like entrance. You don't want to have a couch, for instance, the back of the couch facing you when you're walking, because that's very uninviting. So like, you know, switching things around the room, you know, depending on also windows and things like that. But I would say couch, maybe like a nice piece of furniture, maybe 2 armchairs, you know, obviously the table, maybe another table by the, like a one table, you know, by the, you know, by the sofa, you know, not overly a lot of spaces, depending again, how big is your living room. So it's sometimes living room is a couple different spaces. So you might want to do a sitting area somewhere with like a nice lamp, you know, like kind of, you know, like arch lamps are great sometimes, and a little table by the window if you have a space there. And then there's a main area of the living room. But again, if anybody wants, send me the pictures. I'll give you some ideas, you know, or send me a quick video and I will tell you what to do. So it, like I said, I do free estimations, guys. So anybody needs some help, you can ask me.
All right. All right, we're gonna wrap it up unless anybody else has another question. Poppy
Yeah, I did
Joanne.
have another one.
Oh, sure.
So just kind of a general to the group, maybe I'm not sure exactly who would answer, but timing between, you know, putting your house on the market, you know, closing, selling, and buying something new. Any comments on that? You know, that you're moving out, you're trying to do both, you know, you're buying something new and you're selling yours, timing on that, or how to work that.
Anybody want to take that, or?
I would take a little bit of it. I was just going to say, some of it's going to be about finance. Are you in a position to own 2 homes, even if it's for a short time, if you had to? So understanding what your capacity is going to be key in figuring out what your timing is.
Yeah.
It's because if you need to actually close on your home to buy the other home, then that's something that basically you'd have to do one. It makes it a little more challenging to find a new home, because as you can imagine, if you're as a seller, if you have someone that's saying, I'll buy your house, but only if I can close on my sale, that offers a little more shaky
Right, those
than
contingencies, yeah.
one without that contingency. So
And I guess you sort of have like interim options where you might, put some things in storage and do an extended stay for a month or rent for a few months, you might, be going further away, not able to see places. You might want to land and rent if you're going to California or somewhere, else if you're retiring, and have a 6-month short-term rental as you figure things out. So you may not have to do a sell buy, but sometimes you get lucky. Sometimes there's a 1 or 2 month overlap. And, as Saul said, it becomes a financial question. So, but that's the goal is to really make sure that you have everything as much in order and in your control as you can, and make good decisions about who is buying your home so that you have the most flexibility as possible.
Thank you.
All right. Well, golly, thank you, everybody. Thank you, all of our panelists. Thank you to everybody who showed up today. I know it's Saturday morning is not your favorite time to hop on a Zoom after doing Zooms all week. I guess Connor's ready to hit the woods. That's what I need right now. I am so grateful to everybody for being here and giving everybody a great wish to your day. And I'll be in touch through email with everybody, giving as much information as I possibly can. So, and feel free to reach out to us with other questions you might have via me. I can, channel it to people if needed, or you'll have their information. You can reach out. We're all here to help. So,
thanks,
Thank you so
everyone.
much, Jenny, for
you.
organizing this. Thank you so much.
my pleasure. All right.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
everybody.
Jennifer.
Have an awesome day.
Bye.